there is this episode in Lewis Carroll's tale Alice in Wonderland, in which Alice is lost in the middle of a forest at a crossroads, and then she saw this magic creature, the Cheshire cat, sleeping in a branch of a tree, and she asked the cat, "Could you tell me what path should I take?" And the cat replies, "Well, that depends on where do you want to go to." And she says, "I don't really know." And then the cat replies, "Then it doesn't matter what path you take." This is very obvious enough to be part of a tales for kids, but the truth is that it is widely ignored by policymakers. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a specific KPIs, concrete, ambitious goals, it is really impossible to design policies. It is impossible to measure success, and it is impossible to hold responsibles accountable for those results. In a nutshell, if you don't have a plan, you cannot provide good policy making and good governance. It is impossible. Yet, the truth is that the vast majority of political parties, of presidential candidates, of even governments in Europe today don't have comprehensive long-term plans for the nations. They have ideas, they have ambitions in certain areas, but they don't have a systemic plan on how to achieve all those ambitions and how those ambitions interact with other trends and mega trends that are happening or will happen in the coming years, right? We don't have that. The reality is that the majority of our political institutions are more focused on the next elections than in the future of the next generations, that they're far more focused on the latest tweet, on the latest breaking news of what is happening now in Israel, in Palestine, or what happened in other place 2 weeks ago, and not that much about their own targets, their own ambitions, their own long-term plans, right? And this is hugely problematic because at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're having a reactive attitude towards reality, not a proactive attitude towards reality. They react to things. And you can see this in many national, local, regional governments. You can see this in European institutions as well. If you look at how what most of the main policies adopted by Commission of the past 2 years have been reacting to the vulnerabilities and the problems caused by COVID or the war in Ukraine. But the reality is that those problems were here a long time ago. We knew that we were overly dependent on Russian gas. We knew this, 20, 30 years ago, and yet we did nothing until this was a huge problem, right? It was a reaction to reality. We were not being proactive enough. So we believe that in the same way that 20, 30 years ago, there was a paradigm shift in policy making in the West when we said, policy should not be only driven by ideology, they should also be driven by evidence. And we had this major shift in the way we design our policies and we discuss them. We feel that now is a time that we have another paradigm shift towards more anticipatory governance. In many occasions, when disaster hits, we say it was impossible to predict. In many occasions, that's true, and in many occasions, it is not. It is just that we were too lazy or too short-sighted to focus on those problems beforehand, right? So this is the change that I feel we have to do. So in Spain, what we did was one of the first measures that President Sanchez took when he, after winning the elections in 2019, was to create this National Office of Foresight and Strategy, which sits at the Prime Minister's office, but is tasked with precisely understanding the challenges and opportunities in the future, in the long-term future, and helping the country prepare for them in advance. And we do a number of things, but I just want to share with you one project that it was the first thing we did. We started working on it in early 2020, and this was Spain 2050, which is the first long-term national strategy ever produced by the Spanish government that sets a number of priorities, 50 specific quantitative goals, and identifies 200 different policies to achieve those goals in the next 30 years. And this was made in collaboration with the government, all the ministries, but with 100 different scholars from all different different disciplines, different ideologies, and so on. And in a nutshell, what we did was, because I think this may connect well with the challenge and with the plans that you have in mind. What we did was we analyzed 50 different quantitative indicators that measure environmental, social, and economic performance and development of countries. And we saw in the long term what happened with Spain. We saw that over the last 30 years, Spain moved from being at the back in the list in the European Union. We were one of the poorest performing countries. We managed to move to the medium part of the table. We managed to do that in 30 years. And the question we asked ourselves and the experts was, what can we do in the next 30 years? Or what do we have to do in the next 30 years? So we abandon the medium part of the table and we go up to the top of the table. What do we need to do to become one of the most developed countries and wealthy countries in the EU? And this is the last thing I say, I promise. One of the most important discoveries for us was that this was possible, this was achievable. We are living in a time in which everybody is very pessimistic. In Romania, in Spain, in Europe in general, when you ask citizens, whether you think your country is headed in the right direction or not, whether you think the future is going to be brighter or not, around 3 every 4 citizens say, no, we are headed towards disaster, things are not working, they're very pessimistic. And we thought that we had to fight that feeling, and we proved empirically that for Spain to become one of the best countries in terms of education results, economic performance, environmental sustainability, it was technically possible. It is technically achievable for us. So it's a matter of political willingness and ability, but it can be done. And this was very important, I think.